Adaora left the restaurant with her heart hammering in her chest. Florence's words echoed in her mind. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. But she couldn't stop now. The pieces were coming together. Chinwe had attended the masquerade. Then she had vanished. And yet, Adaora had spoken to her last night. Was she a ghost? A prisoner? Or something worse? She had to find out. That evening, back at the mansion, Adaora waited until Obinna was distracted in his study before sneaking into his office. Her hands trembled as she sifted through documents in his desk. Bank statements, land deeds, business contracts, nothing unusual. Then, at the bottom of a drawer, she found a locked file. Her pulse quickened. She searched the desk for a key, but before she could find one, she heard footsteps approaching. Heart pounding, she shoved everything back in place and stepped away just as the door opened. Obinna stood there, watching her. His face was unreadable. Looking for something? Adaora forced a smile. I was just waiting for you. His eyes flickered with suspicion, but he said nothing. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. The air between them grew tense. Then he sighed, walking toward her. You've been quiet all day. She swallowed, just tired. He studied her for a moment, then reached out, tilting her chin up. I know this world is new to you, but you will adjust. His grip was firm, almost possessive. A cold feeling crawled up her spine. She nodded slowly. I know. He smiled, pressing a soft kiss to her forehead. Good girl. As he turned away, Adaora forced herself to breathe. She was running out of time. If she didn't find the truth soon, she wouldn't live long enough to escape. Adaora barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Chinwe's masked face, heard Florence's chilling warning, and felt Obinna's firm grip on her chin. She needed answers now. By morning, she had a plan. While Obinna was out for a business meeting, she wandered the mansion, carefully avoiding the staff's attention. She had searched his office the night before, but something told her the real secrets weren't hidden in plain sight. She needed to look deeper. The mansion was massive, with long hallways and grand staircases leading to places she had never explored. As she walked past an old corridor near the east wing, she noticed something odd. A part of the wall looked too perfect, smooth, undisturbed. She pressed her hands against it, feeling for anything unusual. Then her fingers brushed against a barely noticeable groove. A door. Her breath caught. She pushed lightly, and to her shock, the panel gave way, revealing a dark, narrow passage. A cold draft hit her skin. She hesitated. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, but she stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and something else, something rotten. The passage twisted downward, leading to an underground chamber. She reached for her phone's flashlight, her heart pounding as the light flickered over the walls. Then she saw them. Photos, framed pictures lined the stone walls, dozens of them. Women dressed in stunning gowns and masks. Some faces she recognized from the masquerade. Then her stomach dropped. Chinwe was there, right in the center. But something was horribly wrong. Her eyes were gouged out in the photo. Adaora stumbled backward, bile rising in her throat. She turned to leave. Then she saw the rest of the photos. Women tied to wooden stakes, their masks still on. Some were screaming, some were lifeless, her legs locked in place. This wasn't just a cult, it was a graveyard. And if she wasn't careful, she would be next. Adora's breath came in sharp gasps as she stared at the horrifying images on the wall. The women in the photos, they had all been at the masquerade once. Now they were either missing or dead. Her hands trembled as she turned, ready to run. But then something moved behind her, a faint rustling sound. She spun around. her flashlight beam shaking as she aimed it at the dark corner of the chamber. The light flickered over something hanging from the ceiling. Adora's scream died in her throat. It wasn't a decoration. It was a mask, a golden mask, similar to the one she had worn at the masquerade, except this one was stained with dried blood, and below it, a row of mannequins dressed in exquisite gowns, each wearing a mask. Their poses were eerily lifelike. Adora took a step closer, her guts churning. Something wasn't right. Then she saw it. The mannequin closest to her had fingernails, real human fingernails. A strangled cry escaped her lips. She stumbled backward, the truth crashing down on her. These weren't mannequins. They were bodies. Women, carefully preserved, dressed up like dolls, forever trapped in the masquerade. Her knees buckled and she sank to the ground. What is this? What is this? She had wanted the truth, but now that she had it, she could barely hold it in her hands. And suddenly she remembered Florence's words. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. Adora sat on the cold marble floor, her back pressed against the wall of glass and horror. The silence wasn't comforting. It felt like something alive, something listening. Then, faint footsteps. Not in the chamber, but above, somewhere in the mansion. Heavy, slow, measured. She froze. Open now. She hadn't locked the hidden passage. Carefully she rose to her feet. Her legs were trembling. She couldn't stay here. If he found her? No. She didn't want to imagine what would happen. She turned back toward the curtained exit, retracing her steps past the glass, past the women in their lifeless poses. One's head was slightly tilted now, as if she had turned, just slightly. Adora paused. No. Her mind was playing tricks. It had to be. She picked up her pace. As she reached the far wall, she brushed her fingers along the wood panel, searching for the latch she'd used to enter. Her breath came in shallow gasps. Click! The panel shifted. She slipped through and pushed it shut behind her. Darkness. Then the narrow hallway light flickered on. She moved quickly, silently, through the passage that ran beneath the mansion. As she reached the final bend, she heard it again. Footsteps, this time closer. She paused, holding her breath. Two shadows passed just ahead, through the cracks in the wall. Men, guards, they were checking the corridor. Are you sure she's in this wing? One more time. Madame Florence said to watch her closely. The other replied. She senses the girl is asking too many questions. Adora's heart nearly stopped. They weren't just watching her. They were reporting to Florence. She waited, barely breathing, until the shadows disappeared. Then she bolted, back into the mansion, up the back stairs, through the guest lounge, and straight into her bedroom. She locked the door, then bolted it, then pulled her wardrobe in front of it, just in case. She collapsed onto the floor, her chest heaving. The world she thought she understood, her marriage, her status, her place in Abuja's elite, was gone. This wasn't just about money and influence anymore. This was blood. This was ritual. This was something older, something dark. And if she didn't act fast, she was going to end up on that wall, another face in a frame, another body posed in a dress that wasn't hers. Now she understood what Florence's warning truly meant. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. What Adora had asked, and now she knew. By morning, she had made up her mind. She needed to leave. She would pack her things, fly to Lagos, disappear, forget politics, forget the money, let the elite keep their mask and secrets. But Obinna was already waiting downstairs when she came out, calm, smiling. Sleep well, my dear? He asked. She nodded stiffly, her hands trembling as she poured herself water. I've planned a small getaway, he added casually. We'll go to the family villa in Enugu. Quiet, peaceful, just us. Adaora froze. He knew. He glanced at the two men standing by the door. Not the usual security. These ones didn't smile, didn't blink. Obinna reached out, gently touching her shoulder. You've been anxious lately. I think the villa will do you good. She smiled faintly. I'll get my bag. Upstairs, she didn't pack clothes. She stuffed the few photos she had, her mother's pendant, and her phone into a tote. Then she slipped out the balcony door, climbed down the back trellis, and fled. She didn't know exactly where she was going. She just ran. Through streets, into alleys, until she found herself outside the house of the only person she could trust, Kene, her cousin's friend, a struggling journalist, conspiracy chaser, the one everyone in the family said was too paranoid. But he was exactly what she needed. Kene stared at her, stunned by what she'd revealed. You can't stay here. You have hours, at most. Adaora gripped his arm. You said you've been tracking them? I have files, recordings, but nothing this clear. Then let's finish it. Let's bring them down. Kene hesitated. There's only one way. You must go back. She blinked. What? You left. That was your mistake. You triggered suspicion. If you vanish completely, they will kill everyone you know to send a message. Adaora swallowed hard. So we do it their way, Kene continued. You go back. You act broken. You lie. You say you ran because you saw something you couldn't handle. Cry if you must. Say you are ready to make peace. Apologize. Adaora stared at him like he was mad, then nodded. She returned 2 nights later, wearing black, eyes swollen from tears she didn't cry, and a story rehearsed 100 times with Kene. The guards seized her at the gate. She was blindfolded and taken to Obinna. His expression was unreadable. He poured himself a drink before speaking. Why did you run? I panicked, she whispered. I saw something I didn't understand. He studied her for a long moment. Then he smiled. Welcome back, Adaora. But Obinna wasn't fooled. By the time her feet had hit the dusty compound of Kene's rented flat, Adora's face was all over Abuja's elite circles. Not on TV, no, not in public, but within that hidden network. She was marked, missing, possibly compromised, retrieved quietly. Adaora moved through the mansion like a ghost, silent, obedient, always 2 steps behind Obinna, never questioning, never asking. The Adaora they once feared, the one who had started asking too many questions, was gone, or so it seemed. What they didn't know was that Kene had wired her with a tiny recording chip stitched into her blouse lining. Every whisper, every chant, every blood-stained secret, she would gather it all. The night of the next masquerade came fast as an invitation was slid under her door. You are expected. No name, no instructions, just a golden mask and a red velvet gown laid out on her bed like a silent threat. Adaora dressed slowly. Her hands trembled as she clipped the mask in place, its edges sharp against her cheeks. The gown clung to her like it had a mind of its own. When she walked into the great hall, the atmosphere was different, heavier, more ancient, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. The same women were there, men too, all masked, but there were fewer now. Some faces, familiar ones, were missing, and in their place the floor bore red chalk markings shaped like an Isibidi symbol, smudged at the edges like they'd been hastily drawn over something darker. Obinna took her hand. You've returned, he whispered. They are watching. Smile. She did, but inside she was ice. The ceremony began like the last one, with chants and wine and lives dressed as blessings. But then they called her name. Adaora, come forward! She froze. Obinna nodded slightly. She stepped up, knees weak, heartbeat pounding in her ears. A woman in a long crimson robe handed her a knife. Tonight, you must give a gift, a sacrifice from your past, someone who knows you. Adora's mouth went dry. She's not ready, Obinna said quickly, but his voice trembled. She only just came back. The high priestess cut him off. She must choose. From the shadows, two guards dragged in a figure, her cousin Amaka, bound, gagged, terrified. Adaora gasped, No! No! She has nothing to do with this. She is your past, your blood, your voice of reason. The priestess hissed. Sacrifice her or we will. The room fell silent. The mask felt tighter now, suffocating. Adaora looked around. Kenneth's words echoed in her head. You must gather proof, then destroy them from within. She turned to the priestess, raised the knife, then threw it at her feet. I won't kill for you. A gasp ripped through the room. You dare refuse the gods? The priestess growled. Adaora tore off her mask. I know what this is. I know what you all are. You are not gods. You're cowards in lace and Ankara, hiding behind old blood and new power. Chaos erupted. Guards surged forward. Suddenly, lights flickered. The air shifted. Kenneth's voice came from speakers hidden in the corners of the hall. Transmission active. You're all live. Everyone froze. Outside, vans screeched to a halt. Armed agents stormed in. EFCC, DSS, even Interpol. Kenneth had leaked every file, every voice note, every photo. The masquerade was over. Obinna was dragged out, eyes wild. You don't know what you've done. Adaora stared at him, mask dangling from her fingers. Yes, I do. The media exploded. Some said it was a hoax. Others demanded investigations. Several politicians disappeared overnight. Obinna fled the country. Florence was found days later, dead in her home, poisoned. Adaora went into hiding. Amaka joined a safe house. The masquerade cult didn't end completely, but it was cracked, exposed, and whispers in the high circles now carried fear, not arrogance. As for Adaora, she lost everything. Her home, her title, her comfort, but she kept her soul. And that, in the world she escaped from, was a rare thing indeed. In a world where power hides behind tradition and luxury, true courage is choosing integrity over comfort. Adora's story reminds us that unmasking evil often comes at a cost, but keeping your soul is the greatest victory of all. Thanks for watching. Please do remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content like this. And let me know yours in the comment section. Bye.